The 2025 Mercedes-Benz CLE starts around $75,000. I'm reviewing the convertible variant today, but you can also get it in a coupe. I'm a big sucker for drop top fun. Just watch my reviews on the MX-5 Miata and the Lexus LC500. But how does this Mercedes-Benz CLE stack up against some of the greatest convertibles out there? Well, stay to the end because I think you'll be surprised. All right, lifting up this beautifully vented hood, and it's the smallest ventilation I think I've seen that's functional, quote unquote. We have a 3-liter inline 6 turbo, but you know, that's not good enough for today's standards because with emissions regulations, we need even better fuel economy, we need better emissions, and what Mercedes has done to a turbo inline 6 is nothing short of extraordinary. On the intake side, they've tied in an electric compressor. So essentially you have supercharger-like performance right off the bottom of the RPMs, and then of course you have that extra boost on the exhaust side from the turbo end. And this is one of the best mild hybrid implementations I've ever seen. Sometimes they just put a starter generator motor on the belt and call it a day. No, not Mercedes here. They've put the starter motor inside the bell housing of the 9-speed automatic here, which is buttery smooth, lightning quick. We'll talk about that when we start driving. And so that is more reminiscent of something we see on something like a Toyota truck hybrid, for example, where they integrate the electric motor within the bell housing of the transmission. Now it provides a ton of torque, not that much horsepower, but the torque that you get from that electric motor and the additional power it provides to the compressor gives this engine, in addition to the turbocharger, gives this engine 443 horsepower and 413 pound-feet of torque. However, there's an overboost where you can get 443 pound-feet of torque on it as well. With any high-performance Mercedes AMG, it's got to show a little bit of the business up front. So I mentioned the vented hood, strong hood lines here. We also have that beautiful AMG badge, large Mercedes badge. I do really enjoy these daytime running lights. They're starting to grow on me, real low front fascia. And if you're spending this much on a Mercedes AMG, you might as well get the optional carbon fiber package that you can get. Looking at these 20-inch tires, 265 by 35s with the AMG logo with these machine finished black matte out wheels. I think they look amazing. Obviously the huge discs inside with the big old brake calipers that are painted red look just so good. We have this garnish here, and I call it a garnish because it is not functional whatsoever, but it also lets you know we have a turbo and 4MATIC, which gives us 4-wheel drive, but this one also has 4-wheel steering. Why not? Now as we look from the side of the CLE, well, a little bit too much chrome for my liking around the window surrounds, the top surrounds, I guess you could say, the door handle. They did a good job blacking out this mirror, but it would have been great to have more of those blacked out features. Maybe the carbon package would help along with that. I mentioned 265 with tires up front, but we have 295s in the rear for obviously a staggered stance. On the back of the AMG 53 quad tip exhaust, and it is going to sound quite great in today's driving impressions because I've rigged a mic up to the back of it. I can't wait to hear what it sounds like back in the studio. Nice diffuser at the bottom. Rear tail lamps here that looks like they're taken from an EQS or something like that. The tiniest duckbill spoiler here. And then you pop the trunk with the press of the Mercedes button. Really, really small trunk that we have here. No spare tire. And it is a bit of a disappointment. However, there are switches on the inside to fold down those rear seats. Again, with where the top stows, there's hardly any cargo back here, but I guess if you fold down those rear seats, you can put longer objects, maybe some skis if you're lucky. As we close the trunk lid, that sounds like luxury, just like the hood did. Let's see if we can get into this back seat here. Motorized seat as you would expect from a luxury vehicle, pulling it back. I do have vents back here. I don't see any USBs. Hopefully that's not a fire ant crawling around my shoe. I'm trapped back here with them if I am. Couple cup holders back here. These seats are actually pretty cozy. This will also lift up in the back to reduce wind buffeting for your rear passengers. Nice Burmeister sound system back here. Tiniest armrests, they're not very cozy. They've also added ambient lighting. It's gonna be hard for you to see, but they have ambient lighting in the back here with nice stitching. Definitely not a penalty box, I would say, but you wouldn't want people over 6 feet tall back here, I'll say that much. As we get into the AMG 53, Pretty solid door slam. You'll have these arms that pop out for the seatbelt. They feel pretty flimsy, to be honest, but once you get buckled, they do go back. So we'll go and buckle that real quick, and let's go and fire her on. Inline sixes, they're incredibly smooth powertrains, but man, they can sound good as well. All right, so we kind of have this carbon fiber effect here. It doesn't look like real carbon fiber. I don't believe it is. If it is, then I would rather have more authentic looking carbon fiber than what we have here. Here are the buttons to open and drop the top, as well as raise that rear buffeter canceller for the passengers. USB in here. We also have felt lined. Ambient lighting on the dash. Even in the vent area, you have ambient lights. And these vents, I like how functional they are. The clicks sound actually a little bit cheap, and what sounds worse or feels worse is actually their function, right? They just feel a little bit, just a hair cheap for this sort of vehicle. Same thing with this material on the dash. So in terms of interior luxury, it looks nice, but it doesn't exactly feel nice. How about I'll say that? We do have a little AMG logo here on the seat, as well as air conditioning for your necks. No volume knob in here. You do have the volume slidey, which works, but it's no replacement for a volume knob. We have an 11-inch screen here, which this is my favorite feature about it. It has 2 different settings. It can come closer to you if you want. And then we also have a 12-inch screen behind the steering wheel, which is highly customizable with the buttons on the steering wheel. All right, this button, or these controls over here, control this screen, which I don't even bother with it most of the time because I'll just use this as a touch screen. This, you're forced into using the touch capacitive controls. Radar cruise control on the left-hand side, volume control, which is a bit finicky, on the right-hand side. And then these 2 knobs here are fantastic. Well, this one looks like a knob, but really what it is that you can press. Well, there's the active exhaust I just turned on. That's awesome. I have a shortcut to that. I can also cycle through traction control, stiffen up my suspension, because of course I have adaptive dampers in here. So I can have all those shortcuts, as well as auto engine off, but it doesn't bother me because with this mild hybrid, the auto engine off in here is seamless. And it doesn't feel like a mild hybrid. It feels more like a traditional hybrid, and one done quite well. All right, big old paddle shifters, which I can't wait to play with. The Burmeister sound speakers look amazing in here, and they're up top as well. So while you're driving with the top down, the windows down, people will not only hear the vehicle coming with active exhaust, they'll be able to hear your nice sound system here too. Beautiful AMG flat bottom steering wheel. Of course, I have aluminum pedals. And I just want to drive this car, so let's hop inside and go for a ride. Do I prefer a traditional shifter? And the answer is of course. This doesn't feel that performance focused with the shifter here on the column. I love a good column shifter, but when I'm in an AMG, I like something a little bit more performance focused. So I have my quick button here for simple setting switches on the fly, like my exhaust. Jeez Louise, let's wait till we're out of the neighborhood at least, Kirk. The dial here on the right, that was even in comfort mode. But in comfort mode, everything softens up with these adaptive dampers, and it provides such a nice touring experience. It's not overly firm, despite me having big wheels on here with skinny tires, but I can just simply put it into Sport and Sport Plus mode. This screen, unless I'm messing with Android Auto or anything like that, or my radio, I'm really not messing with it much, because I have all my driver customizations essentially right here, even my individual mode that I can customize as well. So that's all available here on the steering wheel. And yeah, I kind of just forget about this touchscreen unless I have an address put in with my Android Auto, or I'm scrolling through different songs. So from a user experience, from a performance user experience, it's great. From a general user experience, it's not that great, because I don't have any physical climate control, nor do I not have the volume knob, which that one is the kicker. The AC in here, of course, is ice cold, so I can kind of live with the lack of physical without physical buttons. But you know what? I brought my drag meter, so we're just gonna wait for traffic to kind of lessen here, and then we'll do a 0 to 60, which This thing, Mercedes says it can do about 4 seconds, 0 to 60, so I'll just put my hazards on. At least that's a physical button. I think it has to be by law. But with the top up, the experience is very quiet in here. The top does a good job at snuffing out external noises. All right, Sport Plus, torque brake. Oh God, oh God. All right, we gotta get the brakes because we ran into the back. Oh my gosh. We ran into the back of this Tundra here, so I had to get off the accelerator. 0 to 60, you wanna guess? 3.9 flat. And that was even at a 0.3% slope. Not even the best road conditions either, because I was launching off of a shoulder. So I've just endless amounts of grip here from this 4MATIC all-wheel drive. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is 4.13. This thing feels like the ultimate internal combustion engine experience. All right, pedal down. Just an absolute rocket ship. And it just has such juicy power. It's hard to explain because it's so smooth. Juicy power, what does that mean? I don't even know what it means. It just feels good, and I can't stop from sinking my teeth into it. What about the brakes here with this AMG brakes? Oh gosh. And then throw it in the turn. Oh, there goes my drag meter. So much grip. I gotta slow it down. I'm in a neighborhood. Jeez, Kirk. This vehicle, I'm sure it can get good fuel economy. The problem is that Mercedes has absolutely crushed the internal combustion experience here. The hybridization is mild, it's never intrusive, but what it does is add to that compressor, which adds to never having a down feeling in the power. It's always there. It's always ready to go. This 9-speed G-tronic, or whatever Mercedes calls it, it's definitely the more performance variant of their 9-speed. It's beefed up. With the paddle shifters, my gosh, like second gear, so give me second gear. It's kind of like a roller coaster-like experience. Typically, I get that from EVs. And you might be saying, Kirk, you know, I would like to have a little bit more character in my AMG. Maybe I just want a V8. And those options are available to you. But this is smoother than any V8. This inline 6 is just chef's kiss in terms of luxury. You know, V8s had those better sounds to them. But you know, I just love this inline 6, and I love BMW's inline 6. They have just made them so buttery smooth, so much torque. It's rewarding to rev out, and from an enthusiast aspect, I could leave the V8. I don't need to have the V8. So I come to a stop here. Oh geez, I thought I heard a V8. It was this guy's R7. That's too loud for me. You know my ZX4RR, it sounds good, but I don't like it that loud. Oh my God. And then as you hit the next gear, it gives you that like bass drum effect as it upshifts. And it just, you know, it's not the raspiest exhaust note, because the inline 6 inherently is a smooth as hell engine, but man, it just, I don't know what to say. It's something that you guys need to experience. Mercedes, I didn't have high expectations because one, you know, you never know what you're going to get with the performance of convertibles. Sometimes they're too soft, they have too much body roll, but honestly, the grip that I have here, throwing it into the turns, the all-wheel steering's razor sharp, the steering's sharp, the transmission is A+++, and then the silky smooth and the power delivery of this inline 6, it's just addictive. And I can't behave normally in this vehicle. Maybe you guys can. So maybe personally I would have to go to the more pedestrian or the more commoner CLE 450 that's down 70 horsepower compared to this or whatever it is. But it still has the same powertrain and it has the same transmission, to my understanding, maybe not the beefed up, but it's going to also provide such a smooth and luxurious experience. This one though, It's just, man, AMG has hit it out of the park. Let's head to the office after I take this at speed. Let's flip it into Sport Plus mode. Oh my gosh. Jeez. I love it. I love it so much. I don't want to get out of here. I want to drive it all day. But I'm going to get myself into serious trouble. It's so easy to drive fast, endless amounts of grips, the confidence of all-wheel steering and all-wheel drive. Oh, it's a fantastic driver's car. So let's go ahead and get in the office and see what kind of deals we can find and also put it on the spreadsheet. Looking at CLE 53s in my area, well, depending on how much carbon you want to outfit these things with, I mean, they're priced all over the place. You're not going to, since it's such low volume, they're essentially built to customers' orders, I would say, on average, especially the convertible. Like, they're just 7 in my area, and most of them are coupes. So there's one convertible for sure on the ground, and that's $97K. So for around that price, and I know it's like 15 grand more, or a little bit more than that, is the LC500. LC500 is not in the same class, but it's just a vehicle. There aren't that many convertibles I've driven the past couple of years. In terms of performance, this cannot hold a candle, but it sounds better. The V8's cooler. It's not nearly as fast, doesn't handle nearly as well, doesn't brake nearly as, it doesn't do anything performance-wise as well. It just sounds amazing. And the V8 is just so charming in it. And it looks better than the Mercedes. All right, and the materials, the interior on a LC500, a vehicle I have not driven, but competes, I would say, directly against the CLE 53 would be the M440 coupe convertible from BMW, of course. I don't think it looks as good as the Mercedes. It doesn't have as much power as the Mercedes. I haven't done a lot of research on this particular model. I don't think it has 4-wheel steering, but these are typically a little bit less money. Yeah, I'm not sold on it. I like the Mercedes a lot better. All right, so let's all go to the spreadsheet. Where does the AMG CLE 53 fall? They nailed the performance. I can't think of something, like I said, it's smooth, it's powerful, the automatic is great, it sounds pretty good. And it is just so engaging. Endless grip, endless brake feel in my short testing. It's just, the fun factor is through the roof. I'm glad I'm out of it because I feel like I would just want to go to its max speed all the time because it's just so good. It's so great. And, you know, Mercedes and AMG, well done with the performance. They absolutely hit it out of the park. It's versatile. The back seats were more usable. Now, the trunk, not that great, but the back seats were pretty decent. And I always say when you're in a luxury coupe convertible, the back seat is your second trunk anyways, or maybe your first trunk. Materials on the inside, not the greatest. Too much plasticky, hard touch. It wasn't very inviting. I didn't have knobs. I didn't have any physical climate control, and that is a ding for me. So overall, I want to put this in S tier, but honestly, I think it's A tier. And the reason is, it's just, if I'm not pushing this vehicle, which is rare because it just begs me to, but if I'm not pushing it, I still have to live with its so interior for the price and its lack of physical buttons and stuff. So in no particular order here, I'm just putting the AMG 53 right here is an A tier. Well done, Mercedes. Fantastic. If it had better user interface, I think it would probably be S tier. And if the materials, if they nailed the materials, it's just very cold, very German, go figure, very cold feeling on the inside, very mechanical, very spaceshipy. I want more of a relationship, a cozy experience. I know you might be saying, Kirk, it's a performance car, but I should be able to have better materials for the price. And that's just my opinion. But I'll see you guys in the comments. This car really blew me away. I don't think it, looking at it, it looks hot, but, when you're getting into convertible, you really want to be sold on the looks. And although it does look better than the BMW M440i, there are other convertibles out there like the LC500 that just, are neck snappers. This vehicle, it has neck snapping performance, good looks,
and an okay interior experience. The sound system's pretty good though too. But I just want to listen to that inline 6 per away. But I'll see you guys in the comments, and I cannot wait to review more Mercedes-Benz here in the future. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more.